bring on board Nilesh Shah of Envision Capital here to give us his perspective with regard to what's playing out in markets and how is he playing markets. Nilesh, it's a very interesting market, especially the last few months. Have you been using the dip to nibble on to the positions that you typically like? What have you been doing? And has anything changed for you structurally, given everything that's played out?
No, absolutely. It's been a wonderful time the last few weeks, last few months. I think the kind of volatility that we saw, the correction that we saw because of external factors have created honestly a great buying opportunity into your existing positions as well as some of the newer positions as well. So I think it's been a great time. This is pretty much very characteristic of any bull market where you have a year which gives you maybe one or two occasions for those 10-20% correction, and that creates an opportunity for you to accumulate and be constructive. So that's really how the last few months have been, and I think both the macro data has turned out to be good. The earnings have been hugely supportive, so to that extent I think it's been a great place to be.
So what have you been buying there for, Nilesh? What's the sectoral tilt that you've been looking at? IT has seen a big correction. In fact, it's been a while since we spoke, but even since that point, we've seen a very decent correction in IT. Is that something you're looking at?
I think IT still faces headwinds. Clearly, yet there is no clarity in terms of how really the next few quarters will play out. We honestly don't know if the current business models are valid or these current business models will have to be reoriented, restructured, or if I may use the word reformed to kind of make them more relevant, is something which still I think we don't have an answer to. We continue to watch the space very, very carefully. And let's see if over the next few quarters, we get better insights in terms of the medium to long-term direction of Indian IT services companies. So while yes, prices have come off, valuations have turned even more reasonable than where they were, but we're still not very clear if there is enough ability of the sector to kind of move from, say, a low single-digit growth to even a high single-digit or maybe an early double-digit. So IT is still a place where we have stayed away from. Also, the fact that the currency is depreciated provides an additional tailwind to IT, but I still think the challenge for them is whether they can basically grow revenues meaningfully. I think the space that we have been more focused on are areas around digital platforms, D2C consumer businesses, energy security, defense-oriented indigenization, drug discovery and healthcare, and then discretionary consumption. These are basically the half a dozen pockets that we have been focused on and have been constructive on.
Very interesting. Okay. But Nilesh, I'm going to ask you one follow-up on IT before I go to some of those pockets. With regard to IT, how do you therefore play the AI trade? You're obviously a very well-versed investor in tech. You enjoy growth investing, and and you get it right a lot of times. How do you play AI, especially with regard to India?
Thanks for that. And I think India will still be an adopter of AI. I think we're still at the very early stage of essentially building the foundational layer. So to that extent, we still have some time to go, whether we become the Brahma, and it's not necessarily, it's basically the creators who create the maximum value. It's also the adopters who create phenomenal value. And we are seeing already basically early signs of Indian companies, corporate India, beginning to basically adopt AI, whether that adoption of AI is for operational efficiency, streamlining processes, customer service, customer experience, or helping customers to engage in personalized search. These are some of the areas that we see AI being increasingly adopted. We're also seeing some of the banks, lenders, credit, NBFCs also to start using AI in areas like collections as well. So we're basically already seeing that across a broad set of sectors, we're seeing enough players beginning to adopt AI to solve problems, both external as well as internal. And that, to me, I think is going to lead to companies and businesses being able to expand markets, expand customer base, get more out of a customer, and also improve internal efficiencies and productivity, all of which is likely to result into more capital efficient growth, more productivity gains, and I think that augurs very well. So we actually believe that outside of conventional IT services, AI is actually going to be a tailwind rather than a headwind.
Nilesh, if that's the case, do you think that the value creation by this Indian IT services for applications and usage will offset the kind of revenue deflation that is expected from the AI, and over and above that, the sector can grow on that?
Sajid, I think it's going to be hard to kind of yet have an answer to that. It's still very early days. I'm not even too sure whether the IT sector itself has basically a very meaningful kind of answer or a response to this emerging challenge. Um, I think the bigger challenge for the bigger IT services companies is that for them, it's going to require a huge amount of reorientation. They have a large workforce, and many of them still essentially are at the very early stage of their career cycle. So, to that extent, one has to really see whether they will be able to offset the emerging opportunity from AI and AI implementation versus the kind of displacement or dislocation that it could lead to in terms of their existing businesses. So that is something which we will have to see. And just to kind of think that if today the revenues are $100, and let's assume that basically AI creates another $20 of opportunity, which means the big question that which we need to probably yet understand is that $20, will it be good enough to offset the kind of deflation which could happen in terms of the existing business, which is $100. So we have to see whether the 100 becomes 80 or it gets even lower. That's something which we will have to see.